"And I beheld another beast coming up out of the sand, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, but his mouth was fanged and fiery as the dragon, and his body shimmered and burned with great heat, while it did hiss like the serpent." Arrakis, Dune. This desert planet is the only known source of the spice melange. Like dragons guarding their treasure hoard, the mighty sandworms patrol the open desert where this most valuable resource is found. The ferocity and power of these territorial beasts adds to the danger of any who seek to gather this highly sought-after substance. In this video, I'd like to examine how Frank Herbert was influenced by dragons of ancient mythology in his conception of the sandworms, and discuss the many parallels to the classic fire-breathing serpent. Spoiler warning if you are unfamiliar with Frank Herbert's Dune. In a 1969 interview with Willis E. McNally, a professor at CSU Fullerton and writer for the Dune Encyclopedia, Frank Herbert revealed the heavy influence of dragons and beasts on the sandworms found in his series. In creating these creatures, Herbert noted that he sought to make them fulfill a specific feral function. He explained that he wanted the worms to be the unthinking beast, the personification of the bull in the arena, and the archetypal mythical black beast, one who lives underground in the cavern with the gold. He confirmed that they were intended to mimic the dragon of the epic Old English poem of Beowulf. In the story of Beowulf, a dragon is provoked when a slave invades its lair and takes a cup from its hoard of treasure. Enraged by the theft, the dragon embarks on a vengeful rampage, wreaking havoc on nearby settlements. In response, the legendary hero Beowulf and a group of warriors set out to confront the dragon in its lair. Beowulf contains the earliest literary instance of the quintessential European fire-breathing dragon. The sandworms of Dune also carry this element of flame, as their internal workings are said to function much like an enormous blast furnace, generating extreme heat and fire. This process contributes greatly to the environmental balance of Arrakis, as it supplies oxygen to the nearly vegetation-free landscape of the desert planet. The ancient poem of Beowulf also uses Old English terms such as draka, meaning dragon, and worm, which refers to a reptile or serpent. From this, it can be said that Frank Herbert's sandworms in Dune share a deep linguistic connection with the broader concept of dragons across various cultures. In early depictions of dragons, the distinction between these creatures and ordinary snakes is often blurred. The terms ormer in Old Norse and worm in Old English, both derived from the Proto-Germanic word wormes, were historically used to describe both dragons and snakes. In modern English, the term worm has been borrowed to specifically denote a dragon, while the descendant term worm continues to be used to refer to dragon-like creatures, particularly those without wings. In his interview with Professor McNally, Herbert also points to author L. Frank Baum, who used a dragon hoarding and guarding gold in one of his Oz books. Herbert's sandworms were similarly to be seen as creatures who guarded the most precious treasure in the known universe, the spice melange. However, it is important to note that as the story of Dune unfolds, the spice is revealed to be a byproduct of the sandworm's life cycle, and as such, it has no value to them. However, this detail is not widely known to the powers of the Imperium. Consequently, the worm's attacks on those who seek to harvest the spice are perceived as a defense of the precious substance. While the archetypical dragons of ancient tales are vengeful, Herbert's sandworms are significantly less thoughtful, as they attack only in response to rhythmic vibrations on the surface of the desert, which they perceive as an invasion of their territory. Nonetheless, their ferocious nature and presence makes harvesting the spice a perilous task. In this manner, the sandworms are seen as guardians of the spice, even though they have no inherent interest in the substance. There are other prominent characteristics of dragons that share notable similarities to Herbert's sandworms. For instance, in Greek mythology, the teeth of dragons are imbued with magical properties, playing a crucial role in the legends of the Phoenician prince Cadmus and Jason's quest for the Golden Fleece. In both tales, dragons' teeth have the extraordinary ability to transform into fully armed warriors when sewn in the ground. In Herbert's Dune, the sandworm's teeth are viewed as mystical objects which hold deep spiritual significance for the Fremen. Crysknives forged from the sandworm's teeth play a crucial role in Fremen rituals and ceremonies. By incorporating the mystical properties of dragons' teeth from Greek mythology into the teeth of the sandworms, Herbert further connects these fearsome desert creatures to the ancient mythological tradition. Dragons also play a central role in the myths and legends of many real-world cultures, often symbolizing divine or supernatural entities. They are revered, worshipped, and even feared by the people who build entire belief systems around them. Similarly, the Fremen of Arrakis view the sandworms as sacred beings, referring to them as Shai-Hulud or Old Father Eternity, understanding them to be the physical manifestation of God. Consequently, sandworms are at the center of the Fremen's religious beliefs and rituals. This deep reverence shapes the Fremen's identity and unifies them in their struggle for survival on Arrakis. In both cases, these creatures are deeply intertwined with the cultural identity, beliefs, and traditions of the people who worship them. This parallel underscores the universality of the human fascination with mythic, powerful beings, and the ways in which they serve as symbols of reverence, fear, and awe. Interestingly, author J.R.R. Tolkien was also inspired by the dragon in Beowulf. In The Hobbit, the great dragon Smaug famously boasted, "My armor is like 10-fold shields. My teeth are swords. My claws, spears. The shock of my tail is a thunderbolt. My wings a hurricane. And my breath, death." The sandworms of Arrakis parallel many of these fearsome attributes. Herbert's creatures are similarly hard to kill, with thick, armor-like scales that overlap and interlock to protect their sensitive insides from the harsh sands. This serves as a nearly impenetrable shield against most conventional weapons. Regarding Smaug's sword-like teeth, as mentioned previously, the teeth of Herbert's sandworms are also literally used as weapons by the Fremen. The thunderbolt shock of Smaug's tail and his hurricane wings can be likened to the thunderous and storm-like approach of the sandworm, as the static electricity built up by their movement through the sand violently discharges with the appearance of lightning as the worms breach the desert surface. In Children of Dune, the author directly confirms and solidifies the connection to the classic fire-breathing beasts when his sandworms are referred to as the dragons on the floor of the desert, serving as a more official acknowledgement of the many parallels. As Herbert mentions in his interview with Professor McNally, this connection to the classic tales of treasure-hoarding dragons was done deliberately in an effort to enrich the story, to spark the imagination of the reader, to get their mind rolling, and to tip them toward creating their own story, a story that's within each of them. The connection between the sandworms and common ancient dragon motifs highlights the lasting impact of ancient myths and legends on contemporary storytelling. By drawing inspiration from classic, timeless tales, Herbert adds another layer of complexity to his world. As the dragons on the floor of the desert, the sandworms of Arrakis stand as a testament to the enduring power of mythology and its persisting ability to greatly influence and inspire the human imagination. But I'm curious to know what you think of the parallels between Frank Herbert's sandworms and the ancient tales of mythical beasts that inspired their creation. Are there any similarities that stand out to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Dune and other sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.